Welcome, my precious people, to a moment that holds the weight of unspoken emotions, the kind that never make it to words but live quietly inside a man's heart. This is not just a poem, not just a confession, it's a piece of my soul wrapped in silence. Behind my smile lives 1,000 silent tears. I've smiled before kings, cameras, and crowds, but there are moments when my smile trembles, not from joy, but from pain too deep to show. A prince may hide his wounds behind grace, but his heart beats like any other, and sometimes, it bleeds quietly behind every perfect frame. People often see the laughter, the poetry, the warmth in my eyes, but they don't see the battle that happens when night falls. They don't hear the echoes of names that never fade. They don't feel the emptiness that grows each time I pretend I've moved on. They think I'm strong because I never cry in front of them, but my silence cries louder than any tear that could ever fall. My smile is a wall, and behind it stands a heart still learning how to heal. I've learned that not every pain deserves an audience. Sometimes, you have to protect your hurt the way you'd protect a secret, because not everyone would understand it. Behind my smile lives the story of someone I lost, the memory of someone I loved too much, and the regret of things left unsaid. I could have fought harder. I could have stayed longer. But life teaches us that love isn't always enough, and sometimes, distance becomes the only way to survive. Every time I step out and the world sees the charming prince, the poet, the rider, the dreamer, they don't see the man who spends nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if she ever thinks of him. They don't see the man who still scrolls through old messages, still whispers her name into the wind, still writes poems she'll never read. That's the price of a royal heart. It must always look composed, even when it's breaking in private. There was a time when I believed my smile was genuine, born from peace and fulfillment. But now, it's armor, a way to protect others from my storm. My laughter hides my heartbreak, and my poetry is my therapy. I write not to impress, but to survive. Because every poem I create is a tear disguised as art, and every line I share is a piece of pain turned into beauty. That is how I live, between reality and poetry, between what I show and what I bury deep within. Some nights, when the world sleeps and Dubai's lights glitter like stars fallen to earth, I walk alone and let the city listen to my silence. The wind knows my truth. The desert remembers her name. I close my eyes and feel her presence in the air, like a ghost that never left. That's when I realize, some loves don't die, they simply learn to live in the background, behind smiles, behind strength, behind everything the world thinks they know. I've met many faces, heard many voices, but none of them have silenced the echo of the one I lost. Sometimes I wonder if she sees my smile and knows it's not real. If she reads my words and feels that they were meant for her. If she knows that every poem of Fazza carries her shadow. People say time heals, but time only teaches you how to hide your pain better. The truth is, behind my smile lives not one, but 1,000 silent tears. Tears that never fell because pride held them back. Tears that never showed because I didn't want sympathy, I wanted understanding. And yet, in my loneliness, I found strength. In my pain, I found purpose. Maybe my heartbreak was never meant to destroy me, maybe it was meant to teach me how to write with truth. There's beauty in silence, but there's also suffering. People clap when I recite, not realizing that every word is a confession I could never say out loud. Every applause feels like a small goodbye to the part of me that's still waiting. My smile has become my greatest disguise and my biggest burden. It fools the world, but never my heart. I still believe in love.
Sometimes I wonder if the world will ever understand what it means to love silently. To carry someone in your heart without the right to speak their name. It's a pain wrapped in dignity, a love clothed in restraint. I see her in my dreams sometimes, standing far, watching me with those eyes that once felt like home. I wake up with a smile, but it fades when I remember she's no longer there. Still, I thank God for allowing me to feel something so deep, even if it broke me. Because real love, even in its end, leaves behind a beautiful wound. When I stand before the people and smile, I remind myself that strength doesn't mean being unhurt, it means standing tall while you bleed within. My silence isn't emptiness, it's a quiet ocean of emotions too vast to explain. I've realized that some stories are not meant to end with closure. Some hearts are not meant to be forgotten. They remain a part of you, hidden beneath your calm, breathing behind your smile. I've often thought of writing her one last letter, telling her everything I never could. But I stop myself, because maybe she's happier now. Maybe my silence is the only way to love her right. So instead of sending words to her, I send them to the universe through my poems. And maybe, just maybe, when the wind brushes her hair, it carries a whisper of my love with it. There are days when the memories hit like waves, unexpected, unstoppable. I see her laughter in someone else's smile, hear her voice in a crowd, feel her absence in every sunset. And yet, I keep smiling, because that's what the world expects. But if you look closely, closer than the surface, you'll see the sorrow dancing behind my eyes, the kind of sorrow only someone who's loved too much can ever understand. The truth is, I never stopped loving her. I just learned to love her in silence, to honor her in poems, to remember her in smiles. Every time I write, she comes alive again between my words. She doesn't know it, but she lives in every metaphor, every pause, every heartbeat of my art. That's how I keep her close, through creation, through emotion, through everything I could never say out loud. Sometimes, I envy the simplicity of tears. They fall and release what the heart can't carry. But mine remain trapped, silent and heavy, hidden behind the prince's composure. Because my tears are not just for her, they are for the man I used to be when she was beside me. The man who believed forever was real. The man who didn't know how painful love could become once it turns into memory. I've accepted now that not every love story is meant to have an ending. Some are written only to teach us what our soul is capable of feeling. Maybe God wrote her name in my destiny not to keep her, but to shape me. To remind me that even the deepest pain can give birth to the most beautiful art. Behind my smile lives my weakness, yes, but it also lives my wisdom. And so, I continue to smile.